All right, welcome to this week of Beanie the Boom, the podcast. As we do on a weekly basis, we have a very special guest. And this one, you guys will know because it hits close to home. One of the all-time Ohio State greats, one of the all-time Green Bay Packer greats, A.J. Hawk. A.J., how's it going?
Oh, it's going well. Good to be on here with you. I like you guys' clips and stuff you put online. You just mentioned me off air that you're at the studios down there. You guys have a nice thing going, so I love it. I think you guys are covering the Bucks pretty well, man. It's fun to read everything and listen to what you guys do.
Man, certainly appreciate that, man. We try very hard to do our due diligence and make sure that, we're bringing the content that the people wanted to hear. And it's always a pleasure to hear an all-time great like yourself appreciating that work. AJ, I want to get your thoughts on Ohio State. Obviously, we lose a bunch of players. We lose one of the more important guys in Dwayne Haskins at the quarterback spot. What's your thoughts on Ohio State this coming season in terms of where you think they'll have a lot of success at?
Well, I mean, I love Ryan Day and what he does as a play caller offensively, and I've had the chance to speak to him a little bit, and I was down there for one of their spring practices doing a little like camp tour thing with SiriusXM. We got to talk to Ryan Day and Hartline and some of the players, and I came away even more impressed with Ryan Day and the whole staff really and the players, what they're doing. Like they seem to feel really good about where they are. They're not like content. They all still seem super hungry, but they I think it's as seamless as a transition as you can get from a legend like Urban Meyer to have a new head coach. It's not like you had to blow the thing up and everything. The pieces are all down. I mean, it's crazy just because expectations are so high at Ohio State. I mean, they only lost one game last year, so. What are we talking about? I mean, it's not like it's a team that went 6-6 and you got to rebuild. I think they basically it just seems like a lot of stuff's building, and Justin Fields better have a good year because everyone else seems to be doing pretty well.
Yeah. There's no question about it. I mean, when you look at Ohio State, you look at the cupboard, it isn't bare by any means. We just keep reloading on talent. Right. With that being said, man, where do you see Ryan Day's biggest hurdle being this year? I mean, he does have to follow Urban Meyer, and you go back and you look at Jim Tressel, you go back and you look at Coach Cooper and Earl Bruce. All of those coaches are college Hall of Fame football coaches. So he has some good company he has to keep up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does, and it's crazy. I mean, he's taking over for a guy that's on a first name basis with everybody nationally. I mean, everyone you say Urban, everybody knows who you're talking about. The dude's a legend and what he's been able to do wherever he coaches. I think the biggest thing, obviously, it was so special what Dwayne Haskins did last year. Right. Like, he was so good, and it kind of sucks because we only got to see it for 1 year. But I get it. I agree. He should have left. He should have gone to the league. I think he's going to be very successful in Washington. But I think just finding a way to making sure that Justin Fields feels comfortable. There's not too much of like growing pains, but the truth is, yeah, I know he is super hyped coming out of high school, and he's played a little bit, but he's never been a starter at the college level, and he's coming in day one. He's going to start for Ohio State, where expectations are absolutely through the roof, and that's a good thing. So I hope if he does have a misstep or has a rough game, it's one of those things where you can still have a rough game, but your run game is still in place. Your defense still steps up, and you can still win the game. And they don't drop a game or two that they should have won.
Yeah, hey AJ, it's Boom here. Not only did we get a new head coach, but we also got a new linebacker coach in Al Washington. I just wanted to get your thoughts on what do you think that he could bring to the table, and do you think that he could get the linebackers playing back to what we're used to seeing?
Yeah, I think so. I just happened to run into him at this event at the Union about a week after Al Washington got the job, and man, I came away impressed. Like, that dude is all in. He is super passionate about what he's doing. He was so excited to be at Ohio State, and I think whatever you hear from the players and the coordinators in Madison and Halfley, they seem to be doing all the right things, and I love when I hear that they're simplifying things and just letting guys. You know what your role is. You know where you're supposed to fit. You know what you're supposed to do, and you just run and play. And look, think about it. You're Ohio State. I mean, when you're as good as they've been for so long, it basically recruits itself. Like, people want to come to Ohio State and play football, and on defense especially, you're going to get a lot of studs. And I think they have a ton of studs. So keep it simple. let them fly around, fly to the ball, get back to that silver bullet type defense and have fun. And that's what it seems like Al Washington as well as Hathaway and Madison, they've kind of put that in place now. Everything looks good now. It's just, can that translate onto the game field on Saturdays? And they're doing all the right things so far. And I guess just we will see if it actually matches up and we get to watch it happen on Saturdays.
AJ, man, I could have you on the show all day. I mean, I got a couple more questions for you before we get you out of here. We won't hold you, but, I mean, you got such a wealth of knowledge, not just with Ohio State, not just with football, but with everything. I mean, you do such a phenomenal job. Obviously, I've been on your show a couple of times, and I've listened to it a few. But changing tunes a little bit, talking about your time with the Green Bay Packers. You were able to win a Super Bowl. You were able to play with two Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Talk a little bit about playing with those guys, and what's the biggest difference between the two of those individuals?
Well, the difference in Brett and Aaron, obviously they come from different parts of the country. They're different human beings, but they're a lot more similar, I think, than people think. I played 2 years with Brett, so I was walking into that locker room 21, 22 years old, my first day. I remember being a scared little young dude coming in and not really sure what to do. And I still remember there was this real long hallway get to the locker room and how it used to be set up in Green Bay. And I opened the door and it's probably 60 yards. There's the other door. And I see Brett coming my way and I'm by myself. He's by himself. And I'm thinking like, oh man, I haven't met this dude yet. We're going to mini camp later today. Like, I don't know. Should I even acknowledge him? Like, what's the right thing to do? And I just kind of walked by and tried to give him like, oh, hey, hello. Hey, how you doing? Like all nervous and weird. And he was great. He's like, hey, AJ, what's up, AJ? Man, good to have you here, man. Well deserved. Glad you got drafted here. Let's go. Let's have some fun today. I'm going to mini camp. And then 2 hours later, I'm lined up across from him with the starting defense playing against Brett Favre. Even though it's just mini camp, I was like, wow, this is weird. I've been watching this dude play on TV for years and years. So he was an awesome teammate, honestly, super competitive. If we ever intercepted him during a game or during practice, he'd run and he'd want to tackle you, even if you're not wearing pads. Like, Brett was awesome that way. And to make that transition to Aaron Rodgers, I mean, you got to be kidding me. We knew how good Aaron was from the get-go. We're playing – he's running the Cards, playing scout team offense for us for my first 2 years there. And our linebacker coach would just run the film back during practice a lot of times of these unbelievable throws that Aaron would make day after day. And we all knew, like, hey, we're in good hands. Whenever Brett decides to hang it up, we got this guy waiting in the wings. And I think we knew a long time ago how great he was. And I was lucky enough I sat by Aaron in our team meetings for 9 straight years, and his locker was a couple down. Got to know him very well and know him and get to talk to him now. And they both have that. It's like all those elite quarterbacks. They have the super crazy competitive drive. They want to win at every single thing they do. They're weirdly smart on, like, not just football, but into like all different kinds of things going on in the world. Like, they're just thinkers. They want to know the answer to everything, it seems like. And Aaron and Brett were both like that. They had different styles on how they go about it, but they both like to have a great time as well. So I was so lucky, man, to play with both those guys. You see Aaron still doing it, man. I don't know how long Aaron seems like he's going to be able to play forever. So Aaron does things that I don't think really anyone else on the planet can do.
No, man, I'm always interested to know how it was to be around such legendary guys. You know, I played with a couple of those guys in Arizona and Fitz and Kurt Warner, but, you know, the quarterbacks, those guys are, I mean, they're the cream of the crop. I'm talking like top 10 all time when you look at the quarterbacks that those two individuals you played with. I mean, so that's incredible, man. Another question before, you know, I get to Boom's last question. I got to ask you, what was the transition like for you out of football into the media world? I know that you did a podcast while you were still playing, and I know you still do that podcast, but now you're with Sirius. Was that a difficult transition for you? Because you see some guys struggling at times when they first get out of football to figure out what it is that they're going to do.
I mean, yeah, I guess I felt very prepared for it. I'm lucky to have 2 older brothers and my parents, and they've always kind of urged me to plan and figure out what I want to do when I'm done. And I knew my career could be over at any minute. Like, I lasted 11 years somehow. I never thought I'd make it that long. Mm-hmm. But I was always planning for it. I'd say, like, maybe my 6th year in the league, I realized I wanted to get into the media world. And before that, I mean, trust me, I had no desire to do anything in the media. I didn't hate the media by any means, but I just felt like why would I talk to them? There's no reason. Like, I'm going to go lift and be an idiot and be a meathead. Like, I don't need to talk to these guys. So I started to think that, like, my last probably 5 years in the league, and and kind of explore more things and do little things here and there when I would be asked to do it and try to seek opportunities. So for me, the transition was, I was lucky to where the timing worked out well. Physically, I was definitely done. Mentally, I was pretty much done, and the teams knew. They let me know I was done as well. So it all worked out great for me, I guess. I guess for me too, the thing that I like is I like making my own schedule and kind of having freedom over that. I never liked being on other people's schedule, and a lot of players I know, they kind of need that. They're so used to having every minute of their day scheduled. I always despised that, man. I always wanted some free time to do what I want, study how I want. Let me do it. Like, hey, I got this. I don't need to waste 2 hours on something that should take 15 minutes. So I really like that part of it. And I've been lucky because I love still watching football. I watch football and I watch fighting. I get to do a serious show on an MMA channel as well. So it's fun, man. It gives me something to stay engaged. And I think for anybody that is transitioning out of any sport, even if it's like even if your last game is your senior year of high school, there's going to be a transition period and it's going to be weird not playing. But if you have stuff that you love to do outside of the sport, I think it's a huge help.
Yeah, AJ, last question here. Well, I actually got two last questions. We all dream of, playing 10 years or plus in the NFL. You obviously play 11 years. I mean, what was the secret to being able to stay around that long for 11 years? And also another last question was, what was your biggest accomplishment, either from college or the pros? I mean, obviously you did so many great things. You won a national championship in college, won a Super Bowl, Pro Bowls. I mean, you was basically all world. I mean, what was your biggest accomplishment?
Well, the secret to playing 11, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of luck involved. There really is. Not having any crazy injuries, really, and being, I guess, also trying to lean on. I had some really good older vets throughout my time in Green Bay, to where I would follow them around, try to see try to take little things from every guy that I had a lot of respect for and see what they were doing. And I always try to take pride in being a durable guy and being on the field. And I'm sure I probably played in a few games that I shouldn't have with weird injuries here and there, but I didn't care. Like, I wasn't making business decisions out there. I didn't want to leave. I mean, I felt also like if I miss practice or I miss a game, like, guess what? There's like 4 guys trying to take my gig, so they'll take it from me. So I didn't want the coaches to even get an opportunity to see what it would be like without me. But I think honestly a lot of luck, and then I was always big on kind of having my plan on how I was going to work out throughout the season. The day after games, how I was going to work out to try to get my body back and get back ready for practice on Wednesday. So I like I said, though, you have to have a lot of luck go your way and have a lot of people in your corner, which I was lucky to have. But if I had to point to like one accomplishment, it's tough, man. I was so lucky to come into Ohio State with Jim Tressel my freshman year. We go 14-0 and win the national championship. And I'm like, all right, I was 18 years old. I thought we were going to win 4 straight national championships. And I never got back, unfortunately. But that was huge for me. And then my 5th year in the league is when we basically squeaked into the playoffs, won 3 road games, and then went to Dallas and beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl. That was something I never really, you dream of it. I never really thought was a possibility. And then after the fact, realizing like how many things had to go right for our team and little decisions, the ball bouncing our way at this time, whether it's a penalty called on the other team or something. There's little things that have to go right when you make a run like that. And I realized how tough it was, and I was never able to get back there. And we were set up to do it for a while in Green Bay. We should have, but our defense, we kind of let Aaron and our offense down a lot, I think, at times. But I'd say the national championship and then the Super Bowl were obvious things that were special to me. And my daughter was born. I have 4 kids now. My oldest was born 2 months before the Super Bowl too, so I got to hold her and have the whole storybook type thing, going on at the time. And then I flew back the next day and got my wrist rebuilt and had surgery and was immobile in my arm for 4 months. So I guess that's just how it goes. So, but you guys know, it's the people you get to be around and meet, and players I still talk to that are in the league, and coaches. I really enjoyed being around a lot of great coaches, and I'm still staying in contact with them and just seeing how they're doing and seeing how they go about their things. So that's the best thing, man. Being at Ohio State, I never had any idea growing up in Centerville, about an hour and a half away, that like the not even connection, just the friends that you meet and players that whether I played with him or not, like it's a big fraternity. It really is. And it's a special thing. And I give Coach Tressel so much credit for that and cultivating that and making sure we understood how special it was. And now I'm 35 now, and I didn't understand really at the time, but as I get older, I definitely understand how special it is. And I can't imagine what my life would have looked like if I went to another school. Like I have no idea where I'd be. I have no idea who my friends would be. And so, yeah, it was meant to be, I guess. And I'm just glad I got offered, and I accepted on the spot from Coach Tressel.
Well, we're glad to have had you here as a Buckeye, man. AJ, we appreciate it, man. That's all world, all Buckeye, all Packer. Just an all-around great person, AJ Hawk. You can find him on Sirius XM Radio. You can check out his podcast, which is the Hawkcast, and check him out. Follow him on Twitter @official AJ Hawk. AJ, we greatly appreciate it, my brother.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, thanks, guys. You guys are doing great work. It's fun. Don't worry. I do a show on Tuesdays on the Big Ten channel. And sometimes I have to bone up on what's going on with the Buckeyes if I miss something. So you guys are keeping me in check. It's good. You're helping me out a lot.
Man, thanks a lot, man. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, guys.
What's up, guys? As you know, I love these socks. Keep It Simple socks. They're a local company. They feel so good on my feet. Nice, soft, and they got cool colors. Check them out at keepitsimplesocks.com, at Keep It Simple Socks on Facebook, at Keep It Simple Socks on Instagram and Twitter. And like I always say, they're a local company. Always great to shop local to somebody that's in your own backyard. And they just feel so good. KeepItSimpleSocks.com. Check them out. No, that's awesome, man. Just to be able to chit-chat with AJ, man. He's one of my favorite guys because I remember coming in to Ohio State on a visit. And I remember going to that on that visit, we ended up going out to it was a bar called the Nut House. The Nut House was crazy. Will, I know you remember the Nut House. It was wild as hell. And I remember walking in the Nut House, and the first two people I see is Bobby Carpenter. Yeah. And you know Bobby is the life of any room that he's going to be in. And then AJ Hawk. AJ is chilling in the corner, just relaxing, enjoying himself.
Low-key,
but I go up to those guys and I have conversations with them. And, two of the nicest individuals. And AJ was, he's just an all-world person. A dude that doesn't really talk a lot. He always speaks when he's on the football field. You know who the hell he is by the way he plays. So I appreciate getting a chance to rap with him and just getting a chance to know his story just a little bit. Anytime you play with guys that are Hall of Famers and considered to be all-time greats, I want to know what it was like. That's one thing that I've always been enamored with is understanding what's beneath the surface when looking at somebody great. What is it that they do a little bit different? What is it that makes them who they are? And he hit the nail on the head. Those guys are cerebral guys, and it's not just football. And I think when you got a mental makeup to where it's just not what it is that you're doing at that time and you're able to see things from a completely different perspective, that makes you well-rounded. It makes you be able to adapt to certain things. So I appreciate that with AJ, man.
That's a beautiful thing about, football. You get to meet some great people, build some great relationships, and do some great things. And like you said, AJ is one of those great guys. Even when I was getting recruited, I was able to, watch him, as I was in high school and to see him do great things, win the national championship, his freshman year and do all those great things at Ohio State and then go on to the pros and be a great in the pros is awesome. Like you said.
The shit I'll never forget with AJ too is I remember going to the pro day after his last year, and I remember him and Bobby both just ripped the shit out of the pro day.
Then they were all white.
I think Bobby wore all white and AJ may have wore like a white top and some black leggings or some shit. But nonetheless, he went out as a linebacker at like 245, 250 pounds and ran like a 4.4 and just shredded that shit. I'm like, golly, this is what they had here, and this is what I got to look forward to in college and when I get to the pros. That's just crazy, man. Yeah. It's crazy just to watch a freak and then to go on and watch him have success outside of football. That's what it's about to me. It's cool to be able to do all these great things within your sport.
It's a stepping stone,
and win championships and be considered the best at your position and one of the best to come through your school and like I said, the all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers. All that shit is great, but to be able to watch how you transition out of the sport is always important to me because like you said, if you have a great career, that's 10 years,
right?
But a lot of people don't get a chance to get that mark. So
we sure didn't.
How are you going to translate once you get done with that? It's so critical and so important. And I love seeing success stories like AJ, man. But I want to hit on something, man. I want to hit on the NFL a little bit, and more so than the NFL, or not even more so than the NFL, because I want to hit on the NFL. It has a lot to do with them, this particular conversation. Chris Long, I don't know if you saw Chris Long. He was on the Dan Patrick Show, and he did an interview on the Dan Patrick Show and did another interview with ESPN, the magazine, and he talked about marijuana usage in the league. And he said, flat out, man, I was a guy. I smoked weed while I was playing. And we know that's a huge topic right now, especially with, marijuana being legal for recreational use in a lot of different states. And, I think personally, before it's all said and done, it will probably be just about everywhere, because you can just look at how it affected the economy in those states in which it's legal in.
Right.
I mean, the tax dollars and the revenue streams that it's created, I mean, we're talking billions of dollars.
Right.
I mean, and it's only going to go up the more and more that it becomes legalized. But the big thing was Chris Long came out and said, yeah, I was a guy. I smoked weed while I was playing. I was able to finagle the system in terms of getting around the drug tests that we got administered and to where I wouldn't fail them. And I always say it, too. When you see guys failing drug tests in the league, you're just a straight-up dumbass, because when it's coming.
You know when it's coming.
I mean, during the season you're going to get these drug tests that are for
steroids,
PEDs and all that shit. But when the drug test is coming for hard drugs and cocaine and weed and all that shit, when it's coming. So in my mind, it spoke volumes that, one, you got a guy who just recently retired coming out and talking about it. But beyond just getting past the drug test part of it, the fact that he was admitting to using it, and he was admitting to how it was beneficial to him.
Yeah.
He wasn't one of those dudes that took a bunch of painkillers. He used weed for a good cause. Now, I'm going to let you give your spiel on it, and I'll talk a little bit more about it as well.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, as you know, Beans, we play with a lot of players. A lot of guys use marijuana.
Right.
I mean, that was like a natural. And you hear a lot of guys who say it helps them sleep. It helps them, do a number of things. Instead of taking all these pills, these medicines, and they rather just smoke weed that makes them feel better. I honestly think, if it's helping people and they're not over abusing it, then why not just make it legal? They're making it legal already,
right?
Basically, around the world. They got it in vending machines. They got events with all type of weed things. Man, it just makes sense for the NFL or all sports to make it legal. But I mean, I think they should still test for. I mean, it's still considered a hard drug.
Exactly. We're not going to just say just fair game for any drug that you want to do.
Exactly.
I think you need to make it legal, but restrict it.
That's what I'm saying.
And make sure that we don't have guys just
overdoing it.
Exactly.
Coming to practice high.
And then when you understand the benefits of it, like, I mean, some people it makes them sleep better. Some people it makes the pain better. Some people it gives them mental clarity and to be able to digest what it is that they're going through a lot better.
Because they got different ones. They got the ones that are the higher ones.
Yeah, I mean, they got different strands of marijuana, and we know that. And I think at some point the NFL is probably going to have to, fall in line with everybody else in terms of allowing their players to utilize it responsibly. But what I don't want it to be a bunch of dudes in the league running around just high for the sake of being high and out in public and maybe
using social media.
Yeah, I mean, just smoking.
All right.
Because with anything, you have to do it responsibly.
Right.
And if it's something that can help you, and it's been proven, which I think it's been proven by a lot of different people, and doctors, that it can help you with different ailments, then I think you got to do that. And I think when you really look at where we are in the climate of the opioid crisis, why prescribe Percocet or some type of oxy to players and painkillers to those guys when there's another alternative that the side effects are much lower, because we know with oxy and all the other painkillers, guys get addicted to that really quick. And then
it's very true.
And we see it time and time again in the real world, not just from an athletic perspective, when they can't get those prescriptions for the painkillers that they're taking. I mean, they go off into harder drugs. They go off into the fentanyl and to the heroin, because it gives them that same feel, But then we know the outcome of that. We know how fucked up people get on those type of drugs. So I don't know, man. I just really think that the league and Roger Goodell are going to have to, at some point, come to a common ground on how they not really mandate it, but how they legalize it for their players and how they restrict it in the same sense. Because like I said, I don't want guys riding around driving, getting high, posting videos on social media. No, man, that's
stupid.
It's dumb. Yeah. And I don't want, just the average kid to say, you know what, I got this Pro Bowl player, he's admitting and talking about getting high. So, maybe it's going to be the best for me.
Right.
I don't want that by any means. But I do, in a sense, want it to be legalized for guys so it helps them and it alleviates the issues that they're going through and they don't have to be on these harder drugs.
Right. I mean, have you ever heard of anybody overdosing?
Oh, marijuana? No, I haven't. I read that you possibly can, but I've never read the shit.
Yeah, but
I've never heard of it, sorry.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that, marijuana is right or, wrong or whatever, but I'm saying you've never, well, I've never seen anyone overdose over marijuana. I mean, you hear guys overdose on pills, all the other drugs, but I've never heard it with marijuana.
And then, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, the notorious thing associated with football is what? When you look at advertising and all that shit, it's beer.
Yeah.
You see more people.
You see guys at games chugging beers. Like, it's crazy.
But not doing it responsibly. You see people get into more shit on alcohol than nearly anything else that's out there. I mean, you talk about the DUIs that we see players and coaches get. You talk about the fatalities that we see happen behind alcohol. And that's legal. And, I mean, yeah, it has the drink responsibly label on there, but people necessarily aren't doing that. And you just don't necessarily hear those things attributed to marijuana as much as you would, one of the other painkillers or alcohol.
Right.
And that's something that's notoriously advertised during the Super Bowl, during NFL games, Miller Lite, Bud Light, whatever you want to drink at that point in time. That shit is notorious being associated with a recreational substance. I mean, you can call it substance, alcohol, and football. So why not, I wouldn't say just go out and promote. I don't know how they do it, but why not give the players something that can help them if it's been proven? And obviously, just like anything else, you promote doing it responsible. That's my thing. I mean, and that's my deal. And I like that Chris Long came out and talked about it and kind of he raised the red flag. Not really the red flag, but he perked up ears and eyes on that topic attributed to the National Football League. Because time and time again, we see people's careers disrupted forever behind marijuana and drug testing. And, I mean, just think about how many guys that were probably kicked out of the league that probably could have had great careers,
right,
if indeed this thing would have been legal. And it was something that was helping these guys. And I know people are going to say, well, the rules are the rules, and there are rules in place for specific reasons. I agree. The rules are in place. You follow the rules that are set. But when you have something that can help you and it's been proven, why not?
Well, it's the messed up part is he had to wait till he was done playing to speak up about it. Just imagine if a guy that was playing said
Eugene
something about
Monroe
it
is another guy that came out and been very public about, supporting marijuana and its benefits.
But if a guy comes out and speaks on it and say he's been using it and he goes and fails a drug test and he's getting fined or he's getting cut, it's just a messed up system. So it's something that they definitely have to figure out because it takes a guy to retire and be done, then he can speak about it. But if a guy that's active playing right now came out and said something, then they're in trouble.
Exactly.
They're all over the news. You know what I'm saying? So it's a messed up situation.
No, man. So that's one of the things I wanted to hit on in the NFL, man. Another one of the things that it bothers me when it comes up because of the people we have in place at the forefront representing this deal, and that's the collective bargaining agreement. D. Morris Smith is the president of the Players Union, and he's essentially in charge of advising players of things that they should be trying to fight for,
right,
and things that they shouldn't maybe fight for, or they shouldn't want a part of the union, and so on and so forth. And I just read an article the other day where it talked about DeMaurice Smith sending out emails to players and agents about the potentially preparing the guys for another lockout, after the 2020 season when the collective bargaining is up. And to me, that's the dumbest thing in the world. I mean, there has been ample time, including now, to figure out what's going to be the best course of action and the best situation for the players with the collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, I mean.
Go ahead. I just took a sip. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was actually just talking to some of my buddies before I came in here, and that came up, and one of my guys was saying at the rookie symposium, they were saying that I think he got drafted in like 2006, and he was saying they were saying if you're still in the league in 2020, it was basically going to be a lockout, and it was going to be the worst one ever, basically for like a whole year. It's going to be like a real one.
And when was this guy playing?
I think he got drafted in 2006.
Oh, so he experienced the 2011 lockout. Why would they be talking about a 2020 lockout when you just signed a new collective bargaining agreement in 2011?
I'm not sure.
That's the dumbest thing in the world. But not that that's the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But, the dumbest thing is not trying to find a solution to where you can get this thing done. I get putting it out there, you guys ought to be prepared and you guys ought to save. I get putting that narrative out there, but I don't think that should be the thing you're driving home. The thing that you should be driving home, okay, what are these things that we're going to pit in this collective bargaining agreement that's going to be in the best benefit of the players?
Right. That's
something that really ticks me off because you look at, DeMaurice Smith's salaries and, he's north of $3 million now. It varies from a year-to-year basis, but some years it may be $3 million, some years it may be $10 million.
Yeah.
You're getting paid a lot of money to advise and to help guys figure out a formula that's going to be best for their success moving forward. I mean, we talk about the TV contracts that the NFL has, which is multi-hundreds of millions of dollars on an annual basis. And you can't seem to structure something that's going to be in the best benefit of these guys securing dollars. One of the things that really pissed me off, I keep saying one of the things because there's a lot of things that pissed me off about the 2011 collective bargaining agreement. But when you look at the rookie wage scale, they came and said, you know what, we don't want these rookies making all this money because they haven't proven themselves.
Yeah, because before that, they was getting hit bad.
I thought that was dumb as hell. Because when you really break it down and you analyze it, when you're up for a new contract as a veteran, right?
Mm-hmm.
Typically at a position, you look at the top 4, top 5 highest paid guys if you're a veteran, and you're trying to get somewhere in that average or somewhere above that if you're really, really special.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got a rookie in that wage scale and where he's going to be in the average of the top 5 guys, then that's more money for you. That's
right.
More leverage for you to be able to go in and say, I'm much better than this rookie, so there's no way that he should be making more money than me.
Right.
But what they did, they put in everybody's minds that these rookies shouldn't be making all this money because they haven't proven themselves. Well, they proved themselves in college and they got drafted at that position for a reason. That's the point of getting drafted. They proved themselves, and they should be able to acquire those dollars because that's a lifelong dream. It's there for them to get. But the owners and the head of the Players Association kind of tricked these guys because not the head of the Players Association. They're stupid for agreeing to it. But the owners kind of put this narrative out there that, you know what, these rookies shouldn't be making all this much money. You've been in the league for X amount of years. You should be getting that. Well, I am going to get that even if the rookie's getting that because it's going to be the average of that contract or it's going to be higher than that. And I got something to stand on because I'm proven.
And it's enough money out there for everybody.
Exactly.
So I'll get it.
So that was one of the things. And then when you look at the healthcare aspect, I've been out of the league for 5 years now. So my healthcare is done. So I don't get insurance from the NFL anymore. Well, check that. Technically I do because there was a set aside that, was a certain amount that we had in the healthcare IRA that pays it for another maybe 3 or 4 years. So let's say you get a total of 8 years if you have that amount of money built up in your healthcare IRA when you finish. And only guys that are vested get that. So let's be clear. Guys that are vested 4 years or more are able to get that healthcare IRA. I thought that was ridiculous. I mean, when you look at the NFL, you look at the injuries that guys have.
It's a super violent game. Why not? Come on, man. It's just ridiculous at the end of the day. Guys, maybe I might sound crazy. I think guys should get insurance for life, for real. I mean, that's just my opinion. Because
the money's there for them to be able to do it.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, you're putting your life on the line every time you step on that field.
Mm-hmm.
And for a guy to play, I don't care if a guy play a year, but for a guy that plays, 4, 10, 15 years, you got some guys that still playing to this day. For a guy like Frank Gore, he's going to his 15th season. You mean to tell me you're only going to get this guy 4 years?
5 years?
5 years of insurance after he's done playing when he's pretty much gave his life up to you guys for 15 years?
Right.
That's crazy.
I don't understand the reasoning behind that. I think it's absurd, especially when you look at, guys dealing with the concussion issues, and we already have seen the CTE come into play, and once guys have passed away and they have that CTE in their brains, essentially, why are we doing this? Why are you not covering health care for longer than that? And you may have people out there, these guys are making millions of dollars, they can pay for their own health care. Well, you weren't that individual that went through that sport, right, that put their lives on the line, essentially. And they were compensated, but nonetheless, the health care should be there for much longer than it is. And another one of the things that really just bothers me is that we talk about the concussions, we talk about the CTE. There should be something in place, and the league wouldn't have to be dealing with these lawsuits and them figuring out settlements. There should be something in place from now moving forward, especially with the new CBA about to come about, to where they're putting a set aside in guys' contracts that gives them a certain amount of money to deal with the mental health and the brain issues that they may have attributed to football. So we're not seeing the NFL be sued for concussions because it's going to be in the contract moving forward that this a lot of the amount of money is going to be a compensation for you dealing with that. Now, what that a lot of money looks like, I don't know, but that's something that needs to be in the contracts moving forward. And those are the things that I believe DeMaurice Smith should be fighting for. And I don't think
give him a call, man. You need to give him a call.
Yeah, I need to do something.
Let him know, man, how you really feel.
Yeah,
how we all feel. Because I'm sure it's a lot of guys that feel the same way you do.
It is.
As I do. And guys just need to speak up, man. And changes definitely need to be made, man, because it's ridiculous. You see guys who, run out of their insurance, and then, players still have, situations going on where they're still dealing with.
Like you say, they got kids too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got kids, got a family. That's a lot going on, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, what else you got in the league, man? Those are my big things I wanted to hit on, man, because those are things that I liked the discussion with Chris Long, and I was really ticked off with the NFL collective bargaining agreement, because it wasn't shit that was in there that said, we're going to do this, that, and the third. We're going to implement this, that, and the third. We want these things in there. It was straight to be prepared for a lockout, which is, I get the narrative being pushed out, but come on, don't let that be the forefront.
Right, man. Obviously, this is the off season where you see guys get picked up. Guys get released, but I seen an interesting sign by the Raiders. I seen the Raiders sign Richie Incognito, and I played with Richie in Buffalo. Great player, has some off the field issues. It's kind of a guy that you put a question mark by, like, should we sign this guy? Should we not? He has some off the field issues. He has some past issues that people might look at this signing as a not a great signing.
Right.
What are your thoughts on seeing him being picked up? Obviously, he hasn't played.
I don't have an issue with it. I know that he's had issues off the field, and the whole Jonathan Martin bullying situation, and it being talked about that he was one of the guys that was racist in the locker room. Right. But then you had other players come out and defend him. As long as it's not going to disrupt the locker room, I don't have an issue with it. And if I'm the Raiders and I'm bringing a guy like that in, I'm doing everything I can to vet and get a feel for this player and his personality, and to know that, hey, you coming in to play football, you coming in to help us win, all the off the field shit that you were involved in, I don't want to see it. Yeah. And he's at a point in time where he's old enough to not be indulging in that BS.
Yeah. They did give him they called it a prove it deal. So
that's all he deserves at this point in time. He's in the back end of his career.
At the end of the day, but he's a hell of a football player.
Right.
The guy was a Pro Bowler 2 years ago when he did, when he stopped playing. Like you said, I think it's a great pickup on the football side. Obviously, if he could keep his act together, and I'm sure as a grown up, I think he should have his act together. I think he should go in there and do a great job. I think it's a steal, honestly, for the Raiders, because he's a top player.
Yeah, man. I do agree he was a damn good football player, and we know in the league, Steve Keim, the general manager of the Arizona Cardinals, he was the head of player personnel when I was there. He said it best, talking about the combine. He was at the combine a couple of years ago. He said this shit, and it blew my mind, but it was relevant. He said if Hannibal Lecter, you know who Hannibal Lecter is, right? Mm-hmm. If Hannibal Lecter ran a 4.340, we as GMs and as NFL execs would just say he had an eating disorder and somebody would sign him. I mean, that's the realest shit ever. I mean, if Hannibal Lecter had an eating disorder, right, you're going to say, or if he had a 4.340, you're going to say he had an eating disorder? Man, that's the craziest shit I've heard, but it's real when you really look at, you know, how the league is set up and some of the players that they've allowed to skate by and to go through crazy off-the-field incidents and give chance after chance, but because they were a damn good football player. Right. Josh Gordon, prime example. You know, at some point he's going to be signed again to a team. I think the Patriots still have his rights, and they talked about him potentially coming back. And this is a guy who's had the off-the-field issues, the shit with drugs, and his wasn't just marijuana. So we understand that situation. But he's that good to where when he's on the field, you give him chance after chance because you're hoping and praying for, one, the production, and you're hoping for the production to supersede anything that he's going through off the football field and to not to be that big of a distraction to where you have to, you know, acknowledge it.
And then at some point, you're just hoping like, okay, now he gets it. Right. You know, because a guy like that, like you say, he has great talent, does some great things. So hopefully to the point it comes where he just, you know, gets it and he can go out there and be a great football player again. Another thing I want to bring up was Nick Foles skipping OTAs. Mm-hmm. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, man?
I mean, as a new quarterback, you want the quarterback to be there. I mean, they're taught to be the leader. He's a guy that did go out and sign a very big contract.
That's what I'm saying.
So you want him there, but on the flip side of that, it said he was out for personal reasons. So, I mean, you also got to take that into consideration. You know, the guy's probably going to be there at the mandatory mini camp. He is going to be there during training camp. But if he's having personal issues that he's going through right now, that he can't be there, you understand that. I don't see a big issue with it at all. But if it's something other than, you know, the family issues or personal issues, then that's when, you know, the red flags will be raised and say, why is this guy here? You just gave him a boatload of money. Right. He's expected to be the leader. But now, I mean, there's no issue at all because of the reason.
It must be something serious, right? Because obviously the coach said he was praying for him and everything like that. But it has to be something serious. I mean, especially like you said, he's a guy who just got a big contract. He's the quarterback, so that's like the biggest leader on your team.
So, I mean, you understand all that.
You want him to be around. So hopefully everything's okay. Me, you know how I am about, you know, having my I would want my guys at OTAs, you know, if I could have them there, you know.
I mean, we all want. I mean, if you're a coach and you're a GM, you obviously want everybody there to develop that continuity. But like we talked about before, I mean, certain guys don't need to be there.
Exactly.
The quarterback more so does because he's the leader. But exactly, like this is a one-off situation where you understand completely.
Yeah. Last thing as far as the NFL, what do you think the best landing spot for Gerald McCoy? Obviously, he took some visits. I see he visited the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he's going, man. I'm going to put it out there right now. He's going to the Browns, man. The Browns going to give him in between $13 and $15 million. Come in and prove it.
But he left, though. I mean, he left without a contract.
Is it that dire for him to sign right now?
No. I'm just saying. I mean,
he's a guy that you want to be worried about once training camp is around. You want to be training. I don't need you on my offseason program. I know what you do. I know what you bring to the table. Right. You're a guy that's been a perennial all-pro Pro Bowler. I know you're going to be ready when the time comes. Shit. Yeah. Take your time, enjoy yourself. Shit. He's in no rush.
I don't think he's in no rush either. But you would think that somebody would just like offer him something that he couldn't resist to even walk out the building, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it probably wasn't up to his liking at this point in time. It's just like anything else, any negotiation. I mean, your first wave isn't always the best. Right. The first wave of offers, then and you got your number set and you figure out, hey, this is where I'm going, and then you test the waters to see if that's a potential number you can get. Right. And maybe maybe it is a situation where his number's not being met. Then he goes back to the table with his agents and his advisors, then he reevaluates that and goes back again. But right now, it's the offseason. I don't give a shit about that at
all. Another thing was I don't know if you've seen where now the NFL wants to investigate Zeke's situation where him being arrested, handcuffed.
You already knew they was going to investigate that anyways. Anytime there's an assault, that has happened with a player, they're going to look into it.
Right.
The guy already said he didn't want to press charges. He didn't really care. He just wanted
to say sorry.
A sincere apology from him. And Zeke apologized before. He didn't think it was sincere enough. But I think that's going to be water under the bridge. It ain't going to affect Zeke to where he's going to be suspended. People get into the shoving matches all the time. It wasn't to the extent to where the dude was hurt. He just want an apology. Zeke say sorry, look him in his eyes this time, and move along.
Do you think it's a thing where Zeke just kind of like got that target on his back where the camera is always on him?
Well, no, I mean, that was just stupid. I mean, we all watched it. I mean, anytime you're a top player in the league,
you always got a target on you.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna say you got a target on it, but
not target,
people gonna be watching you.
Yeah.
I don't think nobody was like egging him on to get in some bullshit. It's just he got on some BS that night. And I think anytime you do that, people are going to be watching, what it is that you're doing. You just got to be smart about how you maneuver and operate, man.
Right.
Like I said, man, I've been around some of the best players in the game and at the highest of levels. And when I say they knew how to operate to where they wasn't going to be seen out doing no bullshit, they was going to be doing bullshit, but they wasn't going to be out seen doing bullshit. It was going to be, if they was going to be at home partying and doing what they do, no cameras. It was going to be security there. And I think that's the mode in which Zeke probably has to grow to become, to being in is, all right, man, look at the all-time greats, Emmitt Smith.
Right.
Emmitt Smith. You didn't hear a thing about Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You go look at Michael Irvin, you heard stuff about Michael Irvin. Deion Sanders, you knew he was out there and partying, but you didn't never hear a thing about the fine details.
Right.
The Larry Fitzgeralds of the world. I mean, those guys do it the right way. And I think Zeke just needs to grow up a little bit and to figure out, what's going to be the right way for me to do things. If you want to go out and enjoy yourself at a concert, make sure it's in a box where nobody's going to be bothering me.
Right.
Where only people that are going to be there are the people that I want there.
Right.
So, yeah, man, that's sad for the NFL. I want to move to the NBA, man.
Yes, I do.
I want to dig in on, this particular situation, and I think it's phenomenal that this player has a group of guys around him that have essentially become the most powerful group in the NBA. That's LeBron James. We know what LeBron James means to the NBA. We know what he means to any franchise that he touches. And I think that's more of the bigger thing, too, is what he means to the NBA, more so than the franchises. I mean, this dude is a great ambassador for the league, one of the all-time greats. I mean, him and Michael Jordan, you go back and forth. I think he's better, but I mean, that's for another discussion. But when you watch the impact that he has on the league and on the franchise that he touches, it's crazy. But now I think within the last couple of years, we're starting to get a chance to figure out what's beneath the curtain.
Right.
And beneath the curtain is that team of Maverick, Rich Paul, and Randy. Maverick and Randy both being from where I'm from in Akron, Ohio, Rich Paul being from Cleveland. That shit is amazing to me. It's so amazing. And, why I'm having this conversation and why I'm bringing those guys up, because there was an article that I just read of Rich Paul was at lunch, and he's sitting at a completely different table, and he sees Maverick Carter and he sees Adam Silver having lunch. They all in the same restaurant. Rich, being the agent for LeBron, the president of Clutch Sports, has a number of different players, marquee players in the league, mind you, goes over to this table at some point and says to Adam Silver, allegedly, I don't want Luke Walton to be the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, and gave him a list of reasons why he wasn't the best fit for LeBron.
Yeah.
And I thought that shit was just wild.
That's a boss move.
When you're an agent, to be able to go up to the commissioner and say, you know what, I don't think this is right for my guy, and I don't think this is right for the Lakers franchise. And if you're the commissioner, I'm sure if it was any other agent, he would have blew it off and said, get the hell out of here. Where are you coming to me? I'm not the president of the Lakers. But Adam Silver being the commissioner of the NBA, listening to Rich Paul, and not to say that Adam Silver had anything to do with that move that was made to fire Luke Walton,
right?
But he's listening to Rich Paul, one, because he's LeBron's agent, two, because
that's a key point right there.
Because he has other high-profile guys in the NBA on his roster as clients, but none more importantly than, okay, let's look at it from this perspective. The Lakers, right? We know the Lakers has this big-ass global brand, not just in the NBA, but just in all of sports in general.
Right.
So if I'm Adam Silver, and I know that this is the agent for the best player in the world, a guy that
and
affects
some of the top other players,
that affects the franchise of the Los Angeles Lakers in such a global way, and not just the Lakers, the NBA. But I know if the Lakers are very good, right, how much revenue that drives, not just for the Lakers franchise, for the NBA. And I'm the commissioner. I want to see my products be at their optimal level and be able to generate as much revenue as they possibly can, because in turn that's going to look good on me as the commissioner.
Right.
I want to see them win because they're a historic franchise. When a historic franchise wins, whether you're the Green Bay Packers,
right,
the Yankees, the Red Sox, it's always good for the sport.
Right.
So Adam Silver is listening to him because he understands that, hey, man, maybe you own to something. Maybe this is the right move. But the fact that, Rich, Mav, and Randy were able to get there and establish themselves as credible guys and that they know the business, I think that's all the more impressive.
I mean, that's what it's all about. Like you said, for them to be not even, I don't even like to say under LeBron, but they're a part of his team.
Right.
For your team to elevate, your circle has to be great. And those guys have turned into great guys who can help LeBron grow.
It's not even about LeBron anymore at this point in time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
It's so bigger than that.
Yeah. But for them guys to be doing what they're doing now is just amazing. I mean, that's what you want your team to do. You want it to elevate. And for him to be able to go and say those words to him, it's big moves. I mean, this guy is flying with the Lakers.
Yeah, I did see that, man. I did read in that article that he flew on the Lakers team charter.
Like, how many
after
agents?
One of their games, not with LeBron being there, but he was representing another player at the time. But like you said, not a lot of agents you could say done that. I mean,
you name one other. I mean, I don't know other agents.
I certainly don't know in football agents riding with the team charter at all. But the fact that these guys were able to kind of build themselves and build LeBron James's brand,
right,
and to. Okay, we got LeBron James here, but to build their own brands globally, not just in the United States, but everywhere in the world. And these dudes have made some incredible moves. And, people can sit there and say all day long, well, it's LeBron James. Anybody associated with LeBron James can do anything that they want to do in any avenue. That's just not true.
That's not true.
You have to establish credibility. You have to establish the know-how. You have to establish the knowledge. And these are guys that didn't go to college, mind you.
Right.
These are guys that picked up and learned from being around the different execs and the different people that LeBron James had around him. And they say, you know what? Fuck this. Let's just go in this area. Let's go in this direction, and let's catapult ourselves to where we are now the people that understand the know-how, that have the answers and that have the influence to be able to cultivate and drive whatever it is in this sport and outside of it in which we want to. I mean, you look at the production companies, you look at the business acumen that these guys have from all the things that they own. I mean, you look at Uninterrupted, which is one of the biggest media outlets owned by a player and his crew that there is out there. I mean, I can't think of another player-owned platform that is big as Uninterrupted.
Right. I mean, there isn't.
And people all the time, well, that's LeBron James, those are his boys, so it's easy to do. But it's not easy to do. You have to have the will and the know-how and the knowledge to be able to do that. And these dudes have done it outside of LeBron. And that's why I'm all the more impressed with those guys, man. And at some point, I'm going to get one of those, Randy, Rich, or Mav, on. And, no slight to LeBron. I know what he's done. And the dude is incredible. And he does so many phenomenal things for the community. But I don't know if I want to say more. I think I got more respect for them than I do LeBron because of the way that they was able to take an opportunity, seize it, and maximize it to its fullest potential.
They definitely maximized all the opportunities. Even if it was from LeBron,
right?
You have to maximize and go do the work.
Right, exactly.
You could put somebody in position and they could fail.
Right.
Or
all the time.
they can elevate it.
And we see all the time people, oh, my boy is going to be my financial advisor. My boy is going to be my business manager. What happens? The guys ends up bankrupt. Because the people that they had around them didn't know exactly what they were doing, and they didn't outsource and find out, okay, I'm going to go to, I'm going to go to Magic Johnson and figure out how to get this business deal done or learn how Magic did these certain things. But that's – go ahead.
I mean, you just look at the roster that they have as Rich Paul's agency. I mean, he doesn't just have LeBron.
John Wall.
He has a number of guys, and he's not just getting these guys. He's getting these guys paid.
Yeah. I mean –
LeBron doesn't know – I mean, maybe he does know something about being an agent or doing contract, but LeBron's not doing it. Right. He's doing it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Did he get him in a position where he could be able to do this? Maybe so, but he elevated it, and he's able to do his own thing.
Man, they took it and ran with it, man. And
right.
That's just beautiful to me. But going to we just watched. We're going to hit on the Raptors and the Warriors, but we just watched Kawhi Leonard have a crazy tear on in his playoff run, and we watched him go nuts. I mean, Kawhi Leonard had a historic playoff run in 18 games. 534 points, 142 rebounds, 62 assists, 26 steals, and 8 blocks. That's crazy. That's a crazy historic playoff run with 18 games and conference rounds. I mean, that's wild.
That is wild. I mean, the guy is I like to call him he's a great player, but he's one of those guys, he don't talk. He's not.
Just shut up and work type of dude.
He one of those guys, like, he almost get on your nerves because how humble he is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, man, say something, bro.
I don't mind it.
No. I like it too, but I'm saying it's some people
see
like
more personality.
Yeah, you want to see like for him just to smile, bro. I think I sent you guys the video like. When you finally realize that you're going to the finals,
right?
And he had that like that little smirk, man. It's just funny to see that, man. But dude is a hell of a player, and obviously he's taken Toronto to their first. I think this is their first time ever going to the finals. Mm-hmm. I mean, what more can you ask for from a player like that, man? To turn that team totally around. I mean, obviously we know LeBron's not in the East no more,
right? So it was a little bit easier for them to be able to
it's a little easier,
but.
But he had to go to the Raptors to make it different, to make those guys get over that hump. They were always getting at the top of the hill, but they just couldn't get over. You know what I'm saying?
The thing is, too, I got to give the Raptors credit because they took a chance on him.
Yeah.
And, I mean, not a chance on him in terms of from a talent perspective because you knew what he was, but they took a chance on a one-year contract.
And he didn't play all of last year?
Yeah, but you knew what he was. You understood that.
Though, but
we knew the issues that they were having within the Spurs organization and him not wanting to be there, him feeling rushed and pressure to come out and play. So we knew that. But you know the type of player that he was. And the Raptors, they gave away one of their best players.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan, to get this dude on a one-year deal. They said, the hell with it. We're going to just say, we're going to fight this thing out and see if we can get to the finals. And that's what they were able to do.
At the end of the day, and they won.
And they're going up against a mammoth. But I bring up his numbers in a historic run that he's had, only to compare him to LeBron's, man.
Oh my God!
So I mean,
come on, bro.
You know, you got to look at LeBron's when you talk about anybody in the NBA doing anything historic. You got to go to the greatest. And as good as his was, like I said, 534 points, 142 rebounds, 16 assists, 26 steals, 8 blocks in 18 games. LeBron James was better last year. This was on a
and he like what 5 years younger. How old is
Yeah, I mean he's probably about 4 or 5 years younger than LeBron. LeBron 612 points in 18 games, 166 rebounds, 158 assists.
A lot.
He almost tripled his assist.
A lot.
Right. 25 steals and 19 blocks. I had to throw that in there, man. I always got to give Bron credit any chance I get.
Bro.
But nonetheless, man, I'm looking forward to this matchup versus the Warriors and the Raptors. And, people sitting there talking about, did the Warriors win a game? Or sorry, not the Warriors. Did the Raptors win a game in this series? We know they're a mammoth. They are the end-all, be-all in the NBA with the way that the team is structured. But initially, I said last week, if you go back to last week's podcast, I thought Milwaukee would have been the better matchup.
Because they're big.
Exactly. They got a little bit more depth. But, man, I'm not saying that the Raptors are going to take this thing to 7 games by any means, but they're going to make it tough, especially if Kawhi is playing the way that we just watched him play the last 3 games straight to be able to catapult themselves into winning the Eastern Conference Finals.
They getting swept.
Hell no. Nowhere. No.
Bro. They getting swept, bro.
Nah,
point blank, period. I always say, I'm saying it right here, they're getting swept.
No, I don't think they're getting swept. But one of the things that does, pique my interest is Kawhi.
If KD play, they'll win a game. If he don't play,
I'm gonna get to that in 1 second because I want to talk about the record with KD and without him. But another one of the things that piques my interest with Kawhi is if they do, let's say they do get swept. Let's just say they lose. Will he indeed
Go back.
re-sign with the Raptors, or do you think it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to be out of there and sign somewhere else?
Honestly, man, he's one of those guys you don't know, man. Like he gives you no like, oh, maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You just don't know. Like, I mean, Toronto obviously want him back very bad. I mean,
he is who he is.
He getting offered, penthouses and everything. You know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, I think if they win, he goes back. If they don't win, I think he might test the market.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to test the market anyways. And the reason why I brought that up is, he's under a 1-year contract, but his sister, and I'm always online looking at certain shit. And,
I was about to say,
but his sister was on a Facebook Live, and I got this. I can't remember where I got it from. His sister was on a Facebook Live talking about, Kawhi Leonard, how happy she was that they're going to the finals and all that, just shortly after the game. But what you hear is his uncle in the background. Oh, so what? They going to the finals. His ass still getting out of there after this year. And I was like, whoa. Whoa. This is his uncle talking to try to get on that Facebook Live, man.
He is from Cali, right?
Yeah. So, man, that's why I really asked the question. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Nonetheless, I'm looking forward to the matchup. And to get to what you were just talking about, KD, you think if KD plays, then the Raptors will win a game. So basically you're saying the Warriors are a better team without KD.
I can't necessarily say they're a better team. They just play totally different. Right. I just feel like when KD is playing, they kind of set up more and like they're kind of running plays, But when he's not playing, they just ripping and running, man. I
think it's the opposite. I think when he is playing,
no,
they're ripping and running, and when he's not playing, they're able to run their offense and have that continuity in which we've seen them have in years past.
Man, I honestly think when he is not playing, they are just Draymond is just running up and down the court, and then they just pulling up threes. But when KD's playing, then they setting up.
I'm gonna give you the game. I get what you're trying to say, but I'm gonna give you the game. So
give me the game.
When he's playing, that's when we're seeing him. A more isolation ball, more, okay, let me get in one-on-one situations, but that's never been the Warriors. One-on-one basketball has never been the Golden State Warriors. They've always been spread the ball around, get the open shot. Right. And that's what we're seeing with him not being there. We're seeing him being able to spread the ball around. We're seeing the points for Draymond Green grow up. We're seeing
that's
guys,
what I'm saying,
because they're spreading the ball around, and it's not more so ISO ball in which we see with KD. That's KD's game. He's one-on-one. He's going to dominate you.
Yeah.
That was his game in OKC. One-on-one basketball, him and Russ, basically 2-on-5. They're going to do their thing, and that's always been KD, and that's been where he has the advantage because he's so long, he can shoot. One-on-one situations is hard to stop him. So that's where he excels at. But with the Warriors, they excel at, okay, let's get the open shot.
Right.
Yeah, we got Steph Curry. Yeah, we got Klay. They can hit it from anywhere. But we're going to spread the ball around. We're going to see guys have more impact in terms of scoring. We're going to see guys have more impact in terms of assists because that's what we do. Those numbers dip drastically with KD out there. So, I'm not saying that they're a better team. Well, I am saying that they're a better team. They're a better basketball team without Kevin Durant because of that reason.
So Kevin Durant and Cousins out? How are they with Cousins in?
Well, I mean, we got such a limited sample size of Boogie Cousins when he was out there. He was coming off the injury. So we really didn't get the chance to see the true impact. I'm going to say this. They didn't need him to go win.
Nah, they don't need him at all.
They didn't need
They don't need him at all.
They don't need KD.
They don't need neither one of them.
Exactly. So, I mean.
They won without him. I think I seen their record is 32-1 without Steph and KD or something
No, without KD.
Without KD.
Yeah.
Either or, it's something like that.
Right.
But
they
got so much talent, man.
They can win a game without it, man.
Yeah.
Let me switch topics off of this real quick. I mean, I know you saw the situation with the NCAA versus California and the Senate Bill 206, right?
Yeah. That's
and what that Senate bill does, it allows college athletes to be paid from their likeness. And that's one of the big things right now. College athletes can't make money based off of their likeness, and they're kind of pigeonholed, and they can't make any money at all. So I mean, this will open up the floodgates for the state of California.
So it's only in California.
It's only in California.
So kids from Cal, USC,
right?
They can get paid.
They can't get paid yet. This is a bill. It went through the first wave of legalization. I still think it has a couple of more steps in order for it to be intact and in place. But it wouldn't take in place until the 2023 season, which is a couple of years away. But what it would do, it would prohibit the NCAA from banning California colleges and universities and from anywhere else from banning these players for accepting sponsorship deals. So these guys will still indeed be able to play, even though it's against the NCAA rules. This thing will go to court, and the NCAA will ultimately lose. And it would allow college athletes to hire marketing agents. So to go out and secure deals. It would bar colleges and universities from signing high school students to sponsorship deals as a recruiting tool. I thought that was huge right there. And that's one of the things that is going to be hard to get around, because if a kid can get paid for using his own likeness, there's going to be a school that finds a loophole and say, you know what, you sign here, we got this car dealership deal waiting on you right now. They're going to pay you X amount of dollars. So they want to ban that, but it'd be hard to be able to do that. But I love it. I love it for the sake of the players, and I love it because it is, like you said, putting the pressure on the NCAA right now to find a solution. Because I can tell you one thing: once this becomes legal, if it was to become legal in California, then we would just all of a sudden have an influx of players everybody's going to California schools. Yeah. So it will indeed ruin the even playing field of the NCAA landscape, in turn forcing the NCAA's hand to figure out a solution. So I love it. I think if it happened, it would be great. There are a couple of nuances that you would like to have the answers to, like, okay, how do you deal with this thing in recruiting? But it'd be interesting, man, because there's so many famous alumni from certain universities that own certain companies that will be – they would be over the moon to say, you know what, I'm giving this guy a marketing deal to get this 5-star player to come to my school, man.
Right. I mean, that's huge. Like I said, it's going to put a lot of pressure on, all the other schools outside of California. I think it's a great thing. I think this is something that should have been have happened. Right. Because you see a lot of kids getting in trouble over, dealing with agents, getting money from wherever. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Shit shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen. It comes down to figure out a way where if kids are just getting in trouble for simple things as taking money from an agent or taking money from a booster or whatever. Right. Figure out a way where these kids aren't doing that, where they can make their money where they're not going to an agent, they're not going to a booster, and everybody can just be successful. I mean, why should kids have to get in trouble because they're trying to make $1 on their name?
Right. Yeah, I get it, and the NCAA's had it their way for hundreds of years. I mean, or however long they've been around, to where they were able to, make billions of dollars and not have to pay the employees, essentially. And it's an awesome business model if you could do it, and they've been able to for so long. But who has the answer to this deal? These high school basketball players right now. We just watched R.J. Hampton, who was a top 5 high school basketball player, and so many different publications, decide to forego college and say, you know what, I'm just going to go overseas and play basketball. And this wasn't one of those deals where we're talking about a kid who isn't academically eligible or has academic issues. We're talking about a great student, comes from a great family, but understands
the business
and knows, okay, college isn't necessarily what I want to do right now. It may be something I can go back and do down the line, but I'm in the field of playing basketball. I want to get paid for my services for playing basketball. So he decided to, sign a contract with a team over in Australia, New Zealand specifically, to play pro basketball. I love it. I love the narrative, and I think it's going to change the narrative drastically. I don't know. We've had guys before, Brandon Jennings, Terrence Ferguson, Emmanuel Mudiay, go overseas and play basketball and still be, lottery picks. But I think we're going to see this on a more reoccurring basis, because these guys are able to go out and make money off their likeness. They're able to hire their agents. They're able to not only that and make money, they're able to get better. And I think R.J. Hampton hit the nail on the head when he talked about what's the kid's name? Luca. How do you pronounce his last name? Luca Domenico. I can't think of his last name. The kid in Dallas.
Yeah.
You watched him play professionally overseas since he was 14. Mm-hmm. He gets drafted at 19 years old in the NBA, and you watch him have instant success. He's able to play with grown men. He's able to learn the game. He's able to understand what it's like to be a pro, and that translated. You watch Ricky Rubio a couple of years ago, played at an early age professionally overseas. Then he gets drafted to the NBA. You watch him have success. You watch him know how to handle the ball, and you watch him how to be able to distribute and do all these great things. So I think, for a couple of reasons. One, these guys are able to get paid and make money, skip the NCAA. But two, for a lot of them, it's going to advance their careers even better. So when they are drafted, they're already going to know what it's like to play pro basketball and understand what it's like to be against grown men on a consistent basis.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I think it was a great move. I can honestly say the first person I thought about, and I don't even know why I thought about this about him, but I thought about LeBron's son. Because I was like, I wonder what LeBron is going to do when it's time for his son to make a decision to either go to college or go somewhere overseas and play. That was the first person I thought about, but it just makes sense for these kids who have the opportunity to.
Not all kids, but some of them.
Not all of them, but some of them. Whoever the top players, you have the opportunity to first go make money now,
right?
Go get better, play against older men, and I mean,
just learn the game.
Elevate your game. Elevate your game. So I think it's a great move for him. It's a great opportunity. You're gonna be able to go learn a different culture. I think it's all pluses.
Man, you're gonna get college essentially. Man, that's another thing too.
You can always go back to college.
You can always go back to school. College isn't going anywhere, and I think these guys are young enough to where, let's say they wanted to go back and when they were 25 years old. I mean, all right, go back when you're 25, figure out what it is you want to do, with some money in the bank, and pay for your education and move forward. I mean, so for certain guys, I think it's perfect. It teaches them how to be a pro. It is going to show you how to grow up a lot sooner than you would by otherwise going to college.
Right.
But some guys, it probably wouldn't work for. Some guys, I do believe, need that extra couple of years of maturing as players and as people.
Yeah.
And like AJ talked about earlier in the podcast, you build some of the most phenomenal relationships while you are in college. Yeah. So you will miss out on those opportunities and the crazy-ass stories in which we've all experienced in college. You will miss out on that. Shoot. But you may have even more crazy stories overseas.
Say, you playing over there. You got some stories. I mean, you learn a whole different culture, man.
Right.
It's a whole other ball game over there.
Well, man, that's a wrap, man, on Beanie and Boom this week, man. I appreciate you guys listening. Tune in on Google, at YouTube, Google Play. I'm sorry, not at Google. Tune in at Google Play, at Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, all that extra stuff. And, man, that's a wrap on Beanie and Boom podcast.